and exciting game. What an exciting first game this was. 126, 123. Kings get the win. What an even game. 29-29 first quarter. Warriors win the second quarter 32-26. Kings win the third quarter 36-29. And they had a really nice run there at the end of the third quarter. Sacramento closed that third quarter on a 15-4 run, and Trey Lyles really fueled that. He had 10 points in that run. And then Warriors Sac outscores the Warriors by 2 in the final quarter, 35-33. Steph Curry had a 3-point attempt at the very end that could have gone but didn't. Andrew Wiggins really had a wide open 3. Wiggins played 28 minutes. He had 17 points, 7 of 16 shooting, but 8 of them were threes, and he only made the 1. And he didn't rebound anything like he did last year in the playoffs, only 3 rebounds. And he missed, to me, he had the key miss. He had the wide open 3, the great look from the perimeter there with about 10 seconds left on the clock. And Sacramento gets a 126-123 victory in game 1. And, guys, I think, the first thing that jumps out to me, and, we'll just call it like we see it, De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk outplayed Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. There's no question about that. And Sacramento was +9 on the glass, specifically +8 on the offensive glass. That was one area that really helped Sacramento. And +16 points in the paint, and give Sacramento's bench credit. I really thought the Warriors had the bench advantage, but 32 for Malik Monk. He got hot in that second quarter with 15, 16 off the bench for Trey Lyles. The Kings bench had 55, 17 boards, 7 assists. And I was talking to Jason Ross this morning, and he said to say hi to you, Frank. And he was basically, I was mentioning to Ross that Malik Monk kind of reminds me a little bit of like an Andrew Toney, going way, 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 way back to the Sixers, the man they called the Boston Strangler, in that, he can come off the bench and light it up in a hurry. And he was a key factor. You can't let Fox go off. They did. You can't let Malik Monk be huge off the bench, and they did. Both happened tonight, and the Kings get a win.
Beautiful basketball to watch, first and foremost. I mean, really, really high-level basketball. Both teams can represent the Western Conference in the championship onto the NBA Finals. This game made me think about last year. I think I usually leave that for other folks, but I think Kerr made 2 really, really big mistakes.
What jumped out?
Well, late in the third quarter, he took Steph Curry out. They were up 5. When he brought him back in, they were down 4. It's a 9-point differential. In this situation, if you want to rest Curry, call timeout. Do not take it. No other player on the Warriors controls the tempo and puts fear in the opposition more than Steph Curry. So that was a mistake. Last year against Boston, they took him out in the second quarter in game 1. Boston blitzed the Warriors. They lost game 1. I think that's where the game was lost. Let's give Sac all the credit in the world for the things that you notated. They played a tremendous game, but that was a key point. The other thing is, you and I and Dan talked about the last podcast. They got a bird's eye look at Trey Lyles to get him in the scouting report. There's no way that this guy should score 16 points out of 4 for 6 from 3-point range. That's how close these teams are. So give Sac all the credit, but I think the Warriors made 2 crucial mistakes, and those are the ones that I saw.
Danny, what'd you think? I mean, I'll say this. Sacramento's bench was very, very efficient. Not only did Malik Monk, he made 8 of 13, but Alex Len played a nice little role tonight. He made both of his shot attempts. Red just referred to Lyles there. 6 of 8 from the field for Lyles. And not only that, Monk went to the line 14 times, more than any other player in this game, and made all 14 of his free throws. I'll tell you the other thing that, it's unfortunate because he seems like he can have a huge impact in this series, but Kuminga only gets 4 minutes in the first half. And it's like, come on, Steve, there's got to be a way to get Kuminga more than 4 minutes. This guy's a finisher. He's an athlete. He can rise up in traffic and get a really good look at the bucket every time. I wanted to see him like 30 minutes. I was hoping they would feature him, a lot as far as minutes goes. And 4 minutes for him to be kind of like he was the guy whose minutes were taken away for Wiggins' return. The other thing I wanted to see is I want to see, and I mentioned it, in the pregame. I talked about it a lot this week. When you've been gone for 7 weeks, I know Wiggins was shooting 40% from three before he left. But when you've been gone for 7 weeks, go to the hole, right? Go to the hole. Why do you go to the hole? Because you're already really quick and explosive, but now you've got fresher legs. That's your real advantage. Your advantage is not your shot is smoothed out. You haven't been playing. Go to the hole. Your advantage is how. I mean, I think his advantage anyway on this team is to put it on the deck. And we're talking about a 6'8" player that can get to the rim almost anytime he wants, and yet 8 threes on a night they weren't falling. I don't know. To me, I wanted to see it. The other sequence I thought
Yeah,
that
he
was
was
kind
one
of
for
key.
eight.
Yeah, I mean that's not good. I mean the other sequence that kind of stood out to me was I forget exactly where the Warriors had a look at a three, and then it cycled back to Kuminga, and
Right.
he got it, and it was like he just took it was Wiggins missed a three. Golden State got the rebound. It cycled back to Kuminga, and he had a lot of space. I mean, he was standing at the 3-point line, but man, there was a ton of space there, and it's like put it on the deck and go to the hole. I mean, I don't know. There's anybody in the league that can stop that guy when he wants to go to the hole. Instead, he settles for a three there. To me, that three was that was a big sequence in the game. And that it was a one. It was basically Malik Monk drove and scored off the glass to make it 105-105 with 6:30 left. And then that next sequence happened. And Wiggins has a good look at a three, misses. And then the Warriors hustled a rebound. I forget who it was. And it cycles back to Kuminga. And to me, it's like go attack the bucket, go to the line, get the for sure two. He settled for a three. Wiggins a couple times down after that missed a three. Barnes then had the lay in to give Sacramento a 2-point game. I had 2-point lead. I just I don't know. To me, I thought that was a big sequence. That was a big momentum shift right there because they got two good looks out of three. And that second one, it was like, oh my God, Kuminga, just drive in and jam it. I mean, he had one guy between him and the bucket. So just a frustrating game overall. But you got to give Sacramento for the Warriors. But as far as you got to give Sacramento some credit. I mean, this was their first playoff game. De'Aaron Fox making his playoff debut, and he played with a ton of poise. I mean, he's an explosive player. And Sacramento's bench, which I thought would be outplayed by Golden State, they outplayed Golden State and produced 55, 17, and 7. The scary part is Sabonis can be a whole lot better. He had 12 points and 16 rebounds. I thought the other big sequence was the end of the third quarter.
Yeah.
Frank said it right there. I mean, Steph was out, 15-4 run, the momentum shift, the crowd got into it.
Yep.
The game seemed like it was the crowd was in control and everything was kind of under control until that run right there.
Yeah, if they left Steph in, they had a 10-point lead. Should have left him in, and see where you're at the end of the three. At the end of three, hopefully you're still up 8-10. Now you can give Steph, a couple minutes, see how far you can take it in the fourth quarter. If they make a run, call timeout, stop the momentum. If it gets down to 5 or 6, bring Curry back in. But they let him right back in the game, and Sacramento took a 1-point lead into the fourth, and all the momentum was in their favor, and he still left Steph on the bench. I know he was trying to give him his, 5-6 minutes of playing time rest that he does, and which is 10 minutes of, real time. But it's playoffs. I mean, these are the games you got to play 40 minutes. He only played 37.
Yeah, it really bothers me, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just because that's the ball game. Darren Fox played 40 minutes.
Yeah,
Steph played 37. They say
right.
those 3 minutes. No, those 3 minutes, that was the game.
Yeah, they were
That was
down.
the
They were
game.
up by
Yeah.
10 with 2.5 minutes to go.
They're up. They're up in control. They have everybody under control. And you take Steph out. We saw it last year. Now, I'm sure they'll make some adjustments. There's no back to back, but that was a big deal. And we're kind of cutting hairs here because both teams play their asses off.
Yeah.
Both teams play well, but that was crucial. And like I said before, Trey Lyles, 4 for 6. I've seen Monk score 35 points. He's capable of going off and wrecking your defense. Not Trey Lyles. That was inexcusable.
Well, I'll tell you one other thing that jumped out to me is when the Warriors, who defends Fox the best on the Warriors? It's Wiggins and Peyton. And with Wiggins and Peyton both sitting, he had 10 points in a 5-minute run there in that third quarter.
Right.
So that he heated up with their two primary, Fox neutralizers sitting down. So, I'll say this. I'll say this though, it's a way more interesting series with the Kings getting game one than it would have been if the Warriors got game one. If the Warriors get game one, it's like, here we go. This could be a quick series. Sacramento, regular season doesn't mean anything. The fact of the matter is, neither side was, that whole narrative. What does the regular season mean? And there was people saying it means everything, and the Kings are way better. And then the other people were saying it means absolutely nothing, and the Warriors will flip a switch. Truth be told, it means a little. You know what I mean? The regular season means a little. Does it mean everything? No. Does it mean nothing? No. You know what I mean? It's like it's really it means a little. There's a reason that Sacramento had 48 wins. And we saw it tonight. Sabonis is big time. Fox is taking games over in the fourth quarter. Outside of DeMar DeRozan, De'Aaron Fox, is the preeminent fourth quarter guy right now, or maybe even including DeRozan. Those are the two guys that I think of when I think of guys taking it over in the fourth quarter. And then I thought I wanted the Warriors to get Malik Monk in the offseason, and Sacramento wound up getting him, and it was a great pickup by Monty McNair. There aren't too many guys in the league. There used to be a lot of guys like this, Vinny the Microwave,
right.
Guys who could come off the bench and just get it going. You know what I mean? And like I think of a couple guys recent years, like Lou Williams, just one of these scorers, just a guy off the bench that, oh my God, he's just filling it up immediately. And I always have such I'm always so amazed by the skill level of these bench scorers. To me, it's like almost in some ways, it's one of the more amazing parts about NBA basketball guys is when you see a guy come off the bench and he's cold and he just starts lighting it up, And Malik Monk is that kind of player. And I just thought the Warriors, between all the defenders they had plus GP2, would be able to throw a blanket on him. But I'll say this right now. If Malik Monk goes for 30 plus a game in this series, it's going to be a tough series for Golden State to win.
Yeah. You look at Monk and Fox, they outscored Curry and Thompson 70-51. 70 points between those two guys. The other thing that is kind of scary is Herter and Murray were 0 for 8 from 3. I don't know if they're going to do that again, Monday night.
Exactly. Exactly. Game one was about Fox and about Monk and about Lyles and what Frank said, that key late third quarter momentum shift. With Steph out, Lyles got hot. Fox got hot in the third. And, I thought the Warriors, what'd you guys think of the first half? Kind of an interesting first quarter. 29-29. Clay came out, seemed like he was feeling it early. I really liked the way Klay Thompson looked at points in this game. He didn't have a huge game, but there were times where he really looked very confident. like Clay of old. And then the Warriors were up, 6 at half, 61-55. And if you looked at it at halftime, I was thinking, you know what? The 55 points to hold this Sacramento team to 55 in the first half after the way they've been scoring, I was feeling pretty good about how things were looking. The Kings starters, by the way, began 0 for 10 from the 3-point line in that first half. I made that note at halftime. And then, Kings led by one going to the fourth quarter. But it was really the late third where the momentum shifted. And I thought Golden State looked real confident down the stretch. Curry missed a couple big shots. But the big miss to me was Wiggins. And I don't know. Personally, I would just like to see Wiggins be a little bit more. I mean, I thought he looked really sharp in this game for how long he's been off. I was thinking he was going to be rusty and looking rusty, but he looked really sharp early. But I just was hoping that he would drive more and not settle for shots if they weren't falling. And they weren't falling, and yet he hoisted 8 threes. So I don't know. I mean, that's the one thing about Poole and Wiggins. I mean, and Wiggins, I was also thinking, man, is Wiggins going to be like the last year's Wiggins? Last year's Wiggins would pull 13 rebounds. I mean, tonight he had 3.
Yeah, I was surprised that he played 28 minutes. Hindsight 2020, but had he taken that instead of that 3, which was wide open, he also had a clear path to drive right to the hole. And, down 1, you could drive it to the rack, either, get fouled, get 2 shots, or, dunk it, whatever. I just feel like for him to take 8 threes, it's almost like Sacramento was going to let him, have those shots because
which is shocking because he was a 40% guy earlier this year, but that's 7 weeks off. That's all, I mean, I think that was a smart play as well. Frank, what'd you think about the way Brown had the Kings prepared to defend Wiggins?
Excellent. And I think your point is well taken. I mean, this is a make-or-miss league. If he makes a 3-point shot, the Warriors are up 2, then they're probably in a pretty good defense, a pretty good position to set their defense. But I mean, nobody was in front of him. He could have elevated and dunked on the whole team.
That's what I thought too. Just
so that's a play that I'm sure he wants back. I don't like saying this, but it's true. I just think that Mike Brown had the Kings a little tighter than the Warriors. Tonight.
Tight in a good way, you mean?
Yeah, tight in a good way, meaning like playing free. I mean, if you go to like the timeouts and you have the coaches talking, they're reeling a little bit, and Mike Brown is like, "Let it fly, fellas, let it fly." I mean,
he did encourage them to be aggressive offensively.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen Monk score 35 points. We've seen him shoot 3 for 17. So whatever the mojo that they have, it was flourishing throughout that team. Now, again, I mean, aesthetically, the Warriors look better to me. You made a point about Kuminga getting more minutes. Definitely wanted to see that because they were terrorizing the Kings on the backboards with offensive rebounds. They were more physical than Sacramento was, and Mike Brown took DeMontis out, I believe, for that reason because of the energy of the Warriors front court players was just overwhelming to him. Game 2, you got to be able to turn Monk's water off. De'Aaron Fox, I didn't know he was that good. I knew he was a good player, fringe all-star, but I did not know he was that good. This kid made big shots all night, and he was ready to go toe-to-toe with Steph. So look at where he's scoring. He's scoring most of his points at the elbows, right? Yep. Which means you got to take the ball out of his hands and get into your rotation defense. The rotation defense for the Warriors tonight was not very good. Draymond was the only standout I saw most of the game on defense. So they have their work cut out for them. I think they can do it, but give Sac credit.
What'd you think of how? What'd you think how the Warriors started with DiVincenzo on Fox?
I love Dante. I don't have a problem with Dante checking anybody. I just think that you know what I'm saying, you just got to make adjustments. You got to check the floor of the game coach, and then if he can't handle them, you got other players. You got Kuminga, you got Wiggins, you got a bunch of guys.
You got Peyton, but I don't think they have anybody really. That was my concern coming in that could really contain Fox. He's so quick, and then he can either beat you off the dribble or he could pull up, like Frank said, at the elbow.
Well, he's not effective when he's not on the elbow. So again, if he has it going, every NBA team has rotation defenses. Run at him and get the ball out of his hands and let somebody else beat you.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
needed to trap him. That's what they were doing with Steph.
Yeah.
The
Well, I
Kings.
mean, how about use Kuminga's size in some of these defensive looks? I mean, only 10 minutes for Kuminga, and you get both of their their relatively short shooters are going off. You don't think it would help to have Kuminga out there? I mean, I absolutely think that, especially since Sacramento is going to take 32 threes, they're going to take a bunch of threes. The Warriors took 50 threes. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of threes. Who's going to chase down those long rebounds in the middle of the floor? I think it should be Kuminga. Now, Kuminga played 10 minutes. He didn't grab a single rebound. I mean, if there's one kind of disappointing stat line, it's Kuminga tonight. 10 minutes, no rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, only 8 points. I mean, you're talking about one of the most athletic guys on the floor. So, I don't know. That bothered me. I'll tell you the other thing I thought was effective for Sacramento is the use of Alex Len, the Maryland center. I mean, he played 13 minutes. He was plus 10, 4 points, 7 rebounds in 13 minutes and a block
He's a
shot.
big body.
He absolutely
physical.
is.
That's
He
why he was in
was.
the game. He was more physical than Sabonis. The Warriors were running all over Sabonis. He was missing chippies. And Alex Len was like a top 5, top 7 pick. This guy has talent, and he's athletic, and he showed that tonight. So he's somebody who you have to account for.